The morning sun was just beginning to rise over Seoul when the first strange readings appeared on the military radar screens. Lieutenant Ji-woo stood in the command center, drinking his coffee and watching the monitors. Something was different today, but he could not say what it was. "Sir, we have unusual energy patterns over 3 major cities," reported Sergeant Park, Seoul, Busan, and Daegu. They appeared about 5 minutes ago. Ji-woo put down his coffee and moved closer to the screens. The energy signatures were unlike anything he had seen before. They pulsed with a blue light on the radar, appearing and disappearing in random patterns. "Contact the Air Force. Ask them if they have any aircraft in those areas," Ji-woo ordered. At the same time, in Seoul National University, Dr. Min-ji was working late in her laboratory. She was an astrophysicist, and tonight she was studying data from deep space telescopes. Her long black hair was tied back as she focused on her computer screen. "These readings cannot be correct," she said to herself. "There is something moving near Jupiter, but it is too large to be natural." She did not know that she was Ji-woo's younger sister, and she did not know that her discovery would soon become very personal. In another part of Seoul, Captain Sumin was preparing for her morning flight training. She was one of Korea's best pilots, trained to fly the newest fighter jets. As she walked toward her aircraft, she noticed something strange in the sky. It looked like a shimmering blue cloud, but clouds did not move that way. In Busan, Ha Young was working on a new bridge design. She was a brilliant engineer who had graduated at the top of her class. Her office overlooked the harbor, and she loved watching the ships come and go while she worked. Today, however, the view was different. Blue lights danced across the water, creating patterns that made no sense. Then it happened. At exactly 9:17 a.m., 4 beams of bright blue light shot down from the sky. One hit Min-ji's laboratory. One struck Sumin on the airfield. One found Ha Young in her office. The 4th beam hit a market in Daegu, where a young teacher named Ji-un was buying vegetables. In an instant, all 4 women vanished. The only evidence left behind was a faint smell of ozone and confused witnesses who could not explain what they had seen. Lieutenant Ji-woo's phone rang immediately. It was his mother, crying and barely able to speak. "Min-ji is gone. She just disappeared. There was a blue light and then nothing." Ji-woo felt his blood run cold. His sister was missing. But before he could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the command center. "Sir, we have confirmed reports of 4 abductions," shouted Sergeant Park. "All women, all taken by some kind of energy beam." The command center erupted into chaos. Reports poured in from witnesses. Security cameras had captured the events, but the footage showed only blinding blue light. Whatever had taken the women was using technology far beyond anything on Earth. 3 hours later, every television screen, computer monitor, and phone display on Earth showed the same message. It appeared in every language simultaneously. "People of Earth, we are the Zalathi Empire. We have taken 4 of your females for genetic compatibility studies. They will not be harmed if you do not interfere. Any attempt at rescue will result in their immediate termination. You have been warned." The message was accompanied by a brief video showing the 4 women in glass cells. They appeared unharmed but confused. Min-ji was examining the walls of her cell. Sumin was trying to find weak points in the structure. Ha Young was studying the locking mechanism. Ji-un sat quietly, observing everything around her. The United Nations Security Council convened in an emergency session within the hour. Presidents, prime ministers, and military leaders joined by video link. The decision was unanimous and immediate. For the first time in human history, Earth spoke with one voice. To the Zalathi Empire, the response began. "You have made a grave error. Return our people immediately or face the consequences. Humanity does not negotiate with kidnappers." In space, aboard the massive Zalathi research vessel orbiting Jupiter, Overseer Krikstal laughed at the message. His gray skin rippled with amusement as his 4 arms gestured dismissively. "Listen to these primitives," he said to his security chief, Formek. "They think their little planet can threaten the Zalathi Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. What can one backward species do to us?" Formek, a veteran of many campaigns, was not as confident. Overseer, perhaps we should study them more carefully before we provoke them further. Every species has its own strengths. Nonsense, Crystal replied. We have scanned their technology. They barely have spaceflight. Their weapons are chemical-based. They pose no threat to us. Continue with the experiments as planned. But on Earth, something extraordinary was happening. Old enemies became allies overnight. Secret military projects were revealed. Hidden technologies were activated. The entire planet mobilized for war with a speed that defied logic. Ji-Woo found himself promoted to mission commander. His personal stake in the rescue made him the perfect choice to lead the operation. As he stood before a room full of the world's best soldiers, he made a promise. We will bring them home, all of them, and we will make sure this never happens again. In underground bunkers, scientists worked around the clock. Weapons that had been theoretical yesterday became reality today. Ships that existed only in blueprints began taking shape in orbital shipyards. The aliens had made 3 critical mistakes. First, they had taken humans. Second, they had threatened them. Third, and most importantly, they had underestimated what humans would do to protect their own. As the first rescue ships prepared to launch, a message spread across Earth's military networks. They took our sisters, our daughters, our friends. They thought we were weak. They thought we were primitive. They are about to learn how wrong they were. The Zalathi Empire had ruled their section of the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had never lost a war. They had never failed to conquer a species they had chosen to dominate. They had never met humans before. In her cell aboard the alien ship, Minji had already begun to understand the technology holding her prisoner. Sumin had memorized the patrol patterns of their guards. Ha-Young had identified 3 ways to sabotage the ship's systems. Ji-Yoon had learned key phrases in the Zalathi language by listening to their captors. The aliens thought they had captured 4 helpless human females. They had actually invited 4 Trojans into their impregnable fortress. As Earth's fleets prepared to launch, as weapons powered up, as soldiers made ready for humanity's first interstellar war, one truth became clear. The Zalathi Empire had just signed its own death warrant. The Zalathi mothership was larger than any structure humans had ever built. It floated silently near Jupiter, its smooth gray hull reflecting the distant sun. Inside, the 4 human women found themselves in a pristine white facility that looked like a cross between a hospital and a laboratory. Overseer Crixtal watched them through multiple screens in his control room. His forearms moved independently as he took notes on different data pads. His large black eyes showed no emotion as he observed his specimens. Fascinating, he said to his assistant. They show no signs of panic. Most species would be screaming or attempting to damage themselves by now. Minji stood in the center of her cell, slowly turning in a circle. Her trained scientific mind was cataloging everything she saw. The walls were not solid, but some kind of energy field. The air had a slight electric taste. The gravity felt lighter than Earth normal. The field oscillates at approximately 300 megahertz, she said out loud, knowing they were likely recording her. Interesting choice. Very inefficient for containing organic matter. In the next cell, Sumin was doing push-ups. The alien guards watched her with confusion. Exercise was not a typical response to capture. Between sets, she carefully observed the patrol patterns of the guards. Every 12 minutes, they would check each cell. Every hour, they would change shifts. Ha-Young had found what looked like a control panel in her cell wall. It was locked, of course, but she was already working out its design. Her engineering mind saw patterns where others saw random symbols. She traced the circuits with her finger, memorizing the layout. Ji-Yoon sat cross-legged on the floor, appearing to meditate. But her ears were working hard, listening to every sound. The aliens spoke in clicks and whistles, but she was beginning to understand the rhythm of their language. She had always been good with languages, and this was just another puzzle to solve. Bring the specimens to the examination room, Crixtal ordered. Begin with the one doing physical exercises. Her elevated heart rate will provide interesting baseline data. 2 guards approached Sumin's cell. They were tall, with gray skin and 4 arms like their overseer. Their faces had no nose, just two slits, and their mouths were small and circular. They carried what looked like weapons, but Sumin noticed. They held them casually, not expecting any real threat. The energy field of her cell dissolved, and one guard gestured for her to follow. Sumin complied, but she made sure to stumble slightly as she walked, making herself appear weaker than she was. The guards relaxed even more. The examination room was large and circular, with strange equipment along the walls. Krixtal waited, there with several other Zalathi scientists. They began to speak rapidly in their clicking language, pointing various scanners at Sumin. Subject appears to be in excellent physical condition, Krixtal noted. Muscle density is higher than expected. Bone structure is remarkably strong for a species from a low-gravity world. Sumin stood perfectly still, but her eyes tracked every movement, every piece of equipment, every possible exit. When one of the scientists approached with what looked like a needle, she tensed slightly. "Do not worry," Krixtal said in perfect English. "We only need a small sample of your genetic material. This will not cause permanent damage." Sumin allowed them to take the sample, but she memorized the design of the device they used. If she could get her hands on one, it might make an effective weapon. Back in the holding area, Minji was having a conversation with her guard. "Your containment system is flawed," she said calmly. "The frequency you are using creates harmonic resonance points every 37 seconds. A properly timed electromagnetic pulse could destabilize the entire grid." The guard stared at her, not understanding the science but sensing something significant in her words. He reported this to his supervisor, who reported it to Krixtal. The overseer reviewed the recording and felt the first tiny seed of concern. How did this primitive being understand their technology so quickly? Meanwhile, He-Young had managed to partially decode the symbols on her cell's control panel. She had not tried to escape yet, but she now understood how to overload the power systems in her section of the ship. She kept this knowledge to herself, waiting for the right moment. When it was Ji-Un's turn for examination, she surprised everyone by speaking to them in their own language. It was broken and primitive but clearly recognizable. "How? Learn? Speak? Us?" She managed to click and whistle. The examination room fell silent. Even Krixtal seemed shocked. No species had ever learned their language so quickly. It usually took months of training with advanced translation devices. "You understand us?" Krixtal asked in English. "I understand some," Ji-Un replied. "Your language has patterns. I am good with patterns." As the days passed, the Zalathi scientists became increasingly disturbed. Every test they ran revealed something unexpected. Human neuroplasticity was off the charts. Their problem-solving abilities exceeded all predictions. Their physical endurance was remarkable for their size. "Overseer," Formek said during a security briefing, "I recommend increasing guard presence. These humans are not behaving like typical specimens." "They are still primitives," Krixtal insisted. "They have no weapons, no technology here." "What can 4 females do against the might of the Zalathi Empire?" But doubt was creeping into his voice. On the 5th day of captivity, the women were allowed to exercise together in a common area. This was standard procedure. Social interaction helped keep specimens mentally stable for longer studies. The guards expected them to comfort each other, perhaps cry together. Instead, the women immediately began sharing information. "The power grid has a critical weakness in Section 7, Ha-Young whispered. "Guard changes happen exactly at solar noon, ship time," Sumin added. "Their weapons use a charging system that takes 3 seconds to cycle," Minji noted. "I can understand about 60% of their language now," Ji-Un finished. They spoke quickly and quietly, making plans while appearing to simply chat. The universal translators the Zalathi used were not sophisticated enough to catch the technical terms mixed with casual conversation. That night, Krixtal received a message from Earth. It was not the pleading or threats he expected. Instead, it was a detailed analysis of his ship's propulsion system, complete with specifications that should have been impossible for humans to know. The message ended with, "We know where you are. We know what you are. Return them now, or we will come for them. For the first time in his long career, Krikstal felt uncertain. He pulled up all the data they had collected on humans before the abduction. It was a standard survey. Technology level, military capability, social structure. Everything indicated a simple Type 0 civilization, barely capable of leaving their planet. But the women in his cells were anything but simple, and the messages from Earth showed knowledge that should have been beyond them. Perhaps, his assistant suggested carefully, we should reconsider this experiment. Krikstal's pride would not allow him to admit a mistake. Continue as planned. If these primitives attempt a rescue, we will destroy them. The Zalathi Empire does not bow to threats. In her cell that night, Minji smiled. She had figured out how to tap into the ship's communication system. Tomorrow, she would make contact with Earth. The aliens thought they were studying helpless specimens. They were about to learn that they had caged tigers, not kittens, and tigers have claws. In a massive underground bunker beneath the Korean mountains, General Tae-hyun stood before a holographic display of the solar system. Red dots marked Earth's hidden military bases. Blue dots showed the positions of ships that officially did not exist. For 50 years, Earth had been preparing for this day. Status report, the general commanded. All quantum drives are online, reported Commander Park. The fleet is ready to jump on your orders. Ji-woo entered the command room, now wearing the black uniform of Earth Special Space Operations. His team of 12 soldiers stood behind him, each one handpicked for this mission. General, my team is ready. We have studied the ship layouts Minji transmitted. We know where they are being held. The general nodded. Your sister is brave, Lieutenant. Her information has given us the advantage we need. In another part of the bunker, Dr. Yoon was making final adjustments to a new weapon. It was small, no bigger than a rifle, but it contained technology that would have seemed like magic just weeks ago. The molecular disruptor is ready, he announced. It will cut through their hull like paper. Around the world, similar scenes played out. In Nevada, American stealth ships powered up their engines. In Russia, quantum missiles were loaded into orbital platforms. In China, thousands of combat drones synchronized their systems. Every major nation contributed to the effort. The world had kept many secrets. While politicians argued and fought in public, scientists and military leaders had been working together, in private. They knew this day would come. They had seen the signs in deep space. They had detected alien probes studying Earth. So they had prepared. In secret. In silence. Waiting. Sir, we have established quantum communication with Dr. Minji, the communications officer reported. Minji's voice came through the speakers, calm despite her situation. Brother, I am transmitting the shield frequencies now. Their defenses rotate every 6 hours. You have a window of exactly 4 minutes when they are weakest. Understood, Ji-woo replied. How are the others? Ready. Sumin has mapped all guard positions. Ha-young can disable their internal defenses. Ji-eun has been listening to their communications. She says they still do not believe Earth is a threat. General Tae-hyun smiled grimly. They will learn. All units, prepare for jump. Operation Thunderstrike begins in 30 minutes. On the Zalathi ship, Krikstal was reviewing reports when alarms began sounding. His second-in-command rushed in, skin pale with fear. Overseer, we are detecting massive energy signatures from Earth. They appear to be— No, it cannot be— What is it? Krikstal demanded. Quantum jump signatures, hundreds of them. But that is impossible. Their technology assessment showed no capability for faster-than-light travel. Krikstal ran to the command center. The main screen showed Earth, and around it, space itself seemed to be tearing open. Ships emerged from quantum space, not primitive, rocket-powered vessels but sleek warships bristling with weapons. How? Krikstal whispered. The human fleet was unlike anything in Zalathi records. The ships moved with impossible grace, their hulls shifting and adapting like living metal. Fighters swarmed from carrier bays, each one piloted by humans whose reflexes had been enhanced by neural implants. Captain Suman's voice broadcast on all frequencies. Zalathi vessel, you are surrounded. Return our people immediately, or face destruction. Crystal's pride flared. We are the Zalathi Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Fire all weapons. The Zalathi ship's massive guns powered up and fired. Beams of energy that could crack moons lanced out toward the human fleet. The beams hit nothing. The human ships were no longer where they had been. Using micro-jumps, they flickered in and out of quantum space, appearing and disappearing faster than the Zalathi targeting systems could track. Impossible, Vormek shouted. No species can control quantum jumps with such precision. But humans could. They had learned it from video games. For decades, human children had grown up playing increasingly complex games. Their reflexes, their ability to track multiple targets, their strategic thinking, all had been unknowingly trained to superhuman levels. The best gamers became the best pilots, and they treated space combat like the ultimate game. The human fighters danced through space, their movements coordinated by quantum-linked AIs. They struck at the Zalathi ship's weapons, disabling them with surgical precision. Inside the ship, the four women heard the battle beginning. Now, Minji said. She placed her hand on the wall of her cell. The equations she had been calculating for days flowed through her mind. At exactly the right moment, she triggered the electromagnetic pulse she had been holding in reserve. The containment fields flickered and died. Ha-Young immediately ran to the control panel she had been studying. Her fingers flew over the symbols, entering the override codes she had deciphered. Internal defense systems began shutting down throughout the ship. Suman grabbed a guard who had been stunned by the sudden release. She used a move she had perfected in Earth's military, a combination of several martial arts that left the much larger alien unconscious in seconds. She took his weapon and checked its charge. 3 seconds to cycle, she confirmed. Just as I calculated. Ji-Un spoke rapidly in the Zalathi language, sending false reports over their communication system. Section 7 secure, no escape attempts. All specimens contained. The guards rushing to their location received these messages and slowed down, confused. This gave the women time to arm themselves and prepare. Outside, Ji-Woo's assault team approached the Zalathi ship in a stealth shuttle. The molecular disruptors cut through the hull exactly as Dr. Yoon had promised. The team entered the ship with practiced efficiency. Minji, we are aboard. Ji-Woo reported through his quantum communicator. Location? Detention level 5. Section 3, she replied. But brother, be careful. We have this under control. Ji-Woo smiled. Of course she did. His sister had never needed rescuing in her life, but he was coming anyway. The human forces moved through the ship like shadows. They used non-lethal weapons when possible. Humanity was angry, not cruel. Guards were knocked unconscious, systems were disabled, but no unnecessary killing occurred. Krikstal watched his empire's greatest warship being dismantled by primitives. Everything he believed was crumbling. The humans moved with coordination that should have been impossible, used technology that should not exist, and showed mercy when they should have been vengeful. Overseer, Vormek said quietly, we must surrender. They have won. Before Krikstal could respond, the doors to the command center opened. 4 human women walked in, armed with Zalathi weapons. Behind them came human soldiers in black armor. Ji-Woo removed his helmet and embraced his sister. Then he turned to Krikstal. You took them because you thought we were weak. You threatened them because you thought we could not respond. You were wrong on both counts. Minji stepped forward. Your empire has rules about pre-quantum civilizations. You are not supposed to interfere with them, but you broke your own rules because you thought we were helpless. She smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. We have been post-quantum for 70 years. We just chose to hide it. We wanted to be left alone. You did not leave us alone. General, Taehyun's voice came over the communication system. Zalathi vessel, you will be escorted to the edge of our solar system. Tell your empire this. Earth is protected. Any future aggression will be met with overwhelming force. As the Zalathi ship was led away by human vessels, Krixtal finally understood. The humans had not just defeated them. They had done it easily, almost casually, while showing restraint. If this was humanity being merciful, what would they be like when truly angry? He shuddered and decided he never wanted to find out. The journey to the edge of Earth's solar system was the longest and most humiliating experience of Krixtal's life. His ship, once the pride of the Zalathi Empire, was now surrounded by human vessels like a criminal being escorted to prison. Inside the command center, the 4 rescued women stood with General Tae-hyun, who had transferred to the lead human battleship. They watched the Zalathi crew with calm eyes that held no hatred, only determination. "You still do not understand," Minji said to Krixtal. "You see this as a simple military defeat. It is much more than that." Krixtal's gray skin had paled to almost white. His forearms hung limp at his sides. "What more could there be? You have humiliated the Zalathi Empire. Is that not enough?" Suman stepped forward. "You came to our world in secret. You took us without warning. You threatened our lives. In your culture, this might be acceptable behavior toward weaker species. In human culture, there is a word for what you did." "What word?" Krixtal asked. "Kidnapping," Hyung said. "And kidnappers who harm children or women are considered the lowest form of life in human society." Ji-eun added in perfect Zalathi language. "Your own laws forbid interference with pre-quantum civilizations. Yet you broke those laws because you thought we were weak. Now the entire galaxy will know what you did." General Tae-hyun activated a holographic display. It showed a star map with thousands of points of light, each representing a Zalathi world or outpost. "Your empire spans 300 systems," the general said. "Impressive. But you made one critical error. You assumed that Earth was alone and primitive. You never considered that we might have been hiding our true capabilities." The display changed, showing hidden human installations throughout the galaxy. Secret bases on moons, stealth observation posts near alien worlds, and quantum relay stations that had been monitoring galactic communications for decades. "We have been watching," Tae-hyun continued. "Learning. Preparing. We knew that someday, someone would test us. We hoped it would not be necessary to reveal ourselves. You forced our hand." Krixtal's large black eyes widened in shock. "This is impossible. Our sensors would have detected—" "Your sensors detect what we allow them to detect," Minji interrupted. "Human quantum encryption is based on principles your science has not yet discovered. We can hide in plain sight." The human fleet escorted the Zalathi ship past Neptune, past Pluto, to the very edge of the solar system. Here, in the cold darkness between stars, more human ships waited. Hundreds of them, all armed with weapons that defied Zalathi understanding. "This is where you leave," General Tae-hyun announced. "But first, you will witness something. Consider it a message to take back to your empire." In the empty space before them, human ships began to deploy strange devices. They formed a perfect sphere, each device glowing with blue energy. Krixtal's science officer gasped. "Those are quantum field generators. But the power required, it would take the output of a star." Minji smiled. "We have learned to tap 0-point energy. Another thing your science has not yet achieved." The devices activated and space itself began to twist. A massive portal opened, showing the Zalathi homeworld on the other side. The capital city was clearly visible, along with the Imperial, Palace and military command centers. "We can reach you whenever we choose," General Tae-hyun said simply. "Distance means nothing to us. Your defenses mean nothing to us. Remember this." But the demonstration was not over. Through the portal came a single human ship. It was smaller than the others, painted white with a red cross symbol. It approached the Zalathi vessel and transmitted a signal. "This is the Earth medical ship Mercy," a voice announced. "We are transmitting the cure for Valak syndrome, the disease that has plagued your outer colonies for 50 years. We developed this cure 30 years ago. We could have helped you then, but you never asked. You only took." The data transfer was quick and efficient. Krikstal's medical officer confirmed immediately. It was indeed a cure for the disease that had killed millions of Zelathi. Why? Krikstal asked, his voice breaking. Why help us after what we did? Jiwoo, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. Because that is what humans do. We help others. We protect the innocent. We share knowledge, but threaten us, harm our people, and we become something else entirely. The portal closed, and the human ships began to power up their weapons. For a moment, Krikstal thought they would fire. Instead, they created a spectacular light show, beams of energy that painted pictures in space. Images of human achievements, human art, human families. And then, images of human wars. Cities burning. Entire species that had threatened Earth, now extinct. The message was clear. We can create or we can destroy. The choice is yours. Go home. General Taehyun ordered. Tell your empire what you have seen. Tell them that Earth wants peace. But we are prepared for war. Tell them that any species who takes human women or children will face the same response, or worse. As the Zelathi ship limped away, its quantum drive barely functional, Vormek turned to his commander. Overseer, what will you report to the Empire? Krikstal was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice heavy with newfound wisdom. I will tell them the truth. We discovered a species that hides its strength, a species that shows mercy to enemies, a species that could destroy us completely but chooses not to. And I will recommend that we never ever give them a reason to change that choice. Back on Earth, the four women were welcomed as heroes, but they refused the celebrations, choosing instead to return to their normal lives. Minji went back to her laboratory. Sumin returned to flying. Ha-young continued designing bridges. Jiyeon went back to teaching, but the galaxy had changed. News of the Zelathi defeat spread quickly through quantum communications networks that humans had secretly tapped long ago. Species that had considered expanding toward Earth quietly changed their plans. Trade offers began arriving from civilizations that had previously ignored the small blue planet. In the following months, humanity revealed more of their true capabilities. Medical knowledge that could help dozens of species. Agricultural techniques that could feed billions. Energy technology that could power entire civilizations. But with each gift came a quiet reminder. We share because we choose to. Threaten us, and that choice changes. The Zelathi Empire issued a formal apology and paid substantial reparations. They also added a new law to their imperial code. No Zelathi shall ever take or harm a human, especially women and children, under penalty of death. Similar laws appeared in legal systems across the galaxy. The phrase "don't wake the humans" became common wisdom among spacefaring species. Jiwoo met with his sister one evening, months after their rescue mission. They sat on the roof of their family home, looking at the stars. Do you think we overreacted? Minji asked. Jiwoo shook his head. They needed to learn. The galaxy needed to learn. We want peace, but peace through strength is the only kind that lasts. Above them, human ships now patrolled openly among the stars. They carried medicine and knowledge, offers of friendship, and trade. But they also carried weapons that could crack planets just in case anyone forgot the lesson of the Zelathi. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not with conquest, but with a simple truth. We are kind until you give us reason not to be, and that truth changed everything. 5 years had passed since the Zelathi incident. The galaxy looked very different now. On the planet Corva Prime, Ambassador Thulok of the Corvani Trade Federation read the latest update to the galactic database. His 6 eyes scanned the new entry with growing unease. Universal Law 01. Never harm human females, never harm human children, never harm humanity. Violation brings extinction. Below this simple statement were case files. The Zelathi were just the beginning. The Vraxian Confederacy, had made the mistake of attacking a human colony ship carrying families to a new world. The ship had sent out one distress signal before being destroyed. Within 48 hours, every Vraxian military installation in 12 systems had been reduced to atoms. The Vraxian government surrendered unconditionally and now existed under human supervision. Skarn hegemony had kidnapped human children for experimentation. The human response was swift and terrible. Skarn scientists still debated how humans had managed to shut down every computer in their empire simultaneously. The children were returned unharmed. The Skarn Empire never recovered from the economic collapse that followed. Then there were the Malkari pirates who had raided a human research station and killed 3 female scientists. Nobody knew exactly what happened to the Malkari. Their entire species simply vanished overnight. Their worlds remained intact but empty. No bodies, no signs of struggle. They were just gone. Ambassador Thulak closed the file and turned to his human counterpart, Ambassador Sarah Chen. "These cases, they frighten me," he admitted. Sarah nodded sympathetically. "They should, but understand, we take no pleasure in this. Each case represents a failure of those species to recognize our basic nature, which is, we are builders, not destroyers. We are helpers, not conquerors. But touch our families, threaten our loved ones, and we become something else entirely." On Earth, in a secure facility beneath Geneva, the United Earth Council met to review galactic affairs. The council included representatives from every nation, but they spoke with one voice on matters of human security. "The deterrent is working," reported Defense Coordinator James Mitchell. "No attacks on human civilians in 18 months. "But at what cost?" asked Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of the Science Division. "Some species now fear us more than they feared. The old empires." General Tae Hyun, now Supreme Commander of Earth Forces, leaned forward. "Good. Fear keeps our people safe, and we have balanced it with aid programs, medical assistance, and technology sharing. They fear our anger, but they also value our friendship." The holographic display showed the new galactic map. Human space was marked in blue, but blue dots also appeared throughout the galaxy. Human embassies, research stations, medical centers, and educational facilities. "We have become the galaxy's protectors," observed Counselor Maria Santos. 80% of interspecies disputes are now mediated by human diplomats. Our courts are considered the most fair. Our doctors treat all species equally. In the Andromeda sector, Captain Sumin commanded the Earthship Guardian. Her mission was typical of the new human role in space. Part peacekeeper, part rescue service, part diplomatic vessel. "Captain, we are receiving a distress signal," her communication officer reported. "A Therian transport under attack by unknown raiders. Set course to intercept," Sumin ordered. "Battle stations." The Guardian dropped out of quantum space near a small transport vessel being pursued by 3 armed ships. The raiders immediately opened fire on the human vessel. Sumin sighed. "Some people never learn. Target their weapons and engines. Disable, don't destroy." The battle was over in seconds. Human targeting systems, refined through millions of hours of gaming simulations, were unmatched in the galaxy. The raider ships floated helplessly as the Guardian moved to protect the transport. "Therian vessel, this is Captain Sumin of Earthship Guardian. You are safe now." The grateful Therian captain appeared on screen, his feathered crest raised in relief. "Thank you, humans. We carry medical supplies for the outbreak on Thera 7. Without your help, no thanks needed," Sumin smiled. "This is what we do." On the Zalathi homeworld, Krixtal had become something unique in his society, a human expert. His experience had led to a new career teaching other species about human nature. His lectures were always packed. "The humans have a saying," he told his latest audience. "With great power comes great responsibility." They could conquer the galaxy easily. Instead, they choose to protect it. A young Zalathi raised a hand. But why? What do they gain? Krixtal's skin rippled, the Zalathi equivalent of a smile. They gain peace. They gain friends. They gain a galaxy where their children can travel safely. Is that not worth more than conquest? Back on Earth, Minji had become director of the Interspecies Science Exchange. Her laboratory now hosted researchers from 20 different worlds. Today, she was working with an Altarian physicist on quantum field equations. "Your approach to zero-point energy is fascinating," the Altarian said. "But how did humans develop? This so quickly?" Minji laughed. "We are a curious species. We take ideas from everywhere, science fiction, video games, ancient myths, and we ask, what if this were possible? Then we make it possible." Ha-Young had designed the first interspecies habitat station, where beings from different worlds could live and work together comfortably. Ji-Eun had written the standard textbook for galactic language studies, used in schools across known space. The 4 women who had been kidnapped by the Zelathi had become symbols of humanity's transformation. From hidden observers to galactic protectors, their faces appeared on monuments not just on Earth but on dozens of worlds. Ji-Woo, now a general himself, stood before the newest class of Earth's Galactic Peace Corps. Young men and women from every nation, trained not just in combat, but in diplomacy, first aid, and cultural understanding. "Remember," he told them, "our greatest weapon is not our technology. It is not our ships or our guns. It is our reputation. The galaxy knows that humans keep their word. They know we protect the innocent and punish the guilty. They know we prefer peace, but are prepared for war." He paused, looking at each eager face. "But most importantly, they know this. Harm a human child, harm a human woman, harm any innocent being under our protection, and you will face the full might of humanity. Not because we are cruel, but because we are kind, and kind people protect those who cannot protect themselves." In the depths of space, the message had spread to every corner of the galaxy. Ancient empires added it to their oldest laws. Young civilizations learned it as their first lesson in galactic politics. Pirates and raiders whispered it in fear. Never harm human females. Never harm human children. Never harm humanity. And so, the galaxy found peace not through conquest or fear alone, but through the simple understanding that humans, when left in peace, would help everyone, but when provoked, when their loved ones were threatened, they became the most terrifying force in existence. The predators of the galaxy learned to become protectors. The raiders became traders. The conquerors became builders. All because one species had shown them a better way, backed by the promise of swift justice for those who refused to learn. Earth's children played safely in parks on 100 worlds. Human women walked freely through alien markets without fear. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy, they had saved it.